Welcome in. This is the second cut, and today we are mega preview potting the Zurich Classic, a very unique event on the PGA Tour. I'm Rick Gehman. I've got Mark Immelman here. Hello, Mark.
How's it, boys? Hey, every time I get on the show, the graphics just get better. I mean, yeah, the producer behind the glass there is shining.
She is. She is. We are chugging along. We are 4 or 3.5 episodes in, depending on how you want to look at it. We're bearing down on 2,000 YouTube subscribers. If you are sitting there unsubscribed, go ahead and just fire up one click for us. Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Gregors.
Hey, gentlemen, good evening. Fired up to talk about all this stuff this week. I couldn't agree more with Mark. The graphics blow my mind every time. I can't even wrap my head around that kind of creative ability. So I'm glad I'm not the one responsible, because they would look a lot more basic if it was me, with pen and paper kind of thing. So I love what we got going on here, and echo Rick's sentiments. Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we are rocking and rolling now. Mark, you're in the midst of a run yourself, right? I mean, this is like how many weeks in a row? Are you back on? When are you going to New Orleans?
I head to New Orleans Friday morning, there through Monday morning. But we going now. We got New Orleans, and then we got Dallas, and then we got Philly for the Truist signature event, and it's the PGA Championship in Quail, and then it's Colonial, and then I think it's the Memorial after that. And so it's now CBS time, and it's exciting, and we've had some incredible ratings. Granted, we've had Rory and JT winning 2 events, so it's been a banner time of it, and I'm looking forward to this weekend because New Orleans is great, and hey, we got Rory back, so it's going to be good, lots of fun.
Beignets and Rory McIlroy. I never know what to make of the ratings. We've talked about this, Greg. Like, I just, the ratings come out. It's a moment in time. Everybody says, "Oh, well, what did it do last year? Oh, well, also it fell on Easter, but this, that, and the other thing." Rory, whatever. I just know they seem like they're good, which is positive for everybody. I assume.
Yeah. It's sorry, Greg. It's
go ahead.
Golf is just cool now. Golf is exciting right now, and the fans. I got to tell you, look, the Masters stands by itself. No, by the way, Paul, that's going to be Colton Nost is going to be doing that. I'm going to be asleep in my hotel room like a good boy. And we've just had great storylines, fantastic crowds. Last week in Hilton Head, it was like perfect weather. It was Easter time. Folks were out there en masse, and we got a sensational finish. So right now, golf is pretty cool, and we're lucky to be at the helm of it all, I guess.
This was from CBS Sports PR. Most watched final round of the RBC Heritage in 23 years. Okay, that's before we had smartphones. So it's a long time. People used to watch a lot more TV than they do now. And season to date, CBS coverage of the PGA Tour is up 26% from last year. Now, NBC has similar marks from what I've heard and what I've seen. The PGA Tour as a whole has been up basically every week except one since like the Farmers Insurance Open. Now, like you said, Rick, there's a lot to make from it. What did it do last year? Oh, well, last year last year was a down year. Right. But because of everything that's going on in the game, all the pressure in the game and turmoil in the game and live and, the uncertainty and all that, I think that had a real effect on people's viewership, and it seems like it's back.
I would get emails all the time that were just like, "I'm exhausted with this. I don't like the split. It's annoying. I'm over it." I would get emails like that all the time, and if I'm getting emails about it, people are definitely. There's plenty of other things to watch, quite frankly. There's a million things on television. It's the golden age of television with all the streaming services. So at least I think last year they were finding something else to watch. Now maybe returning back to a little bit of golf, but I think you're right, Greg. I think that was definitely a big part of it.
Now I know the storylines have been great this year, but they were great last year too.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a guy on a historic run that was being compared to Tiger Woods. And I don't buy the Scotty Scheffler's boring take. I think people love watching Scotty Scheffler play. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think it was the state of professional golf, which seems to be in a much better place now.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand so I can get a go. Yes, Reverend DuCharme, you nailed it over there. I was out with Scotty Sunday afternoon. Scotty and Russell Henley, Ryder Cup combination. You can bet your bottom dollar on it. And they had a massive throng of fans with them. I had family in from out of town, and friends, and it was the kind of thing where they were like, we had to walk like 2 shots ahead to get a place on the rope line to watch Scotty. Now, look, around Hilton Head, because of out of bounds and houses and stuff, it's not 2 sides of the fairway on many situations. But we got to the 16th hole where you drive like straight down, you turn left towards the Sound. There's houses and bunker and out of bounds down the left. I stood on the tee with Tyler, my on-course guy, and we looked down there, and he looked at me and he's like, dude, this is like the Masters. It was like 10 deep from the tee all the way around the elbow of the dogleg. It was incredible. And yeah, Scotty is not boring. Scotty is generational. Scotty is also not winning all the events Greg was predicting last year.
Hey, easy.
So yeah, look, I'll tell you this from the folks. You guys work in the industry. I'm on the ground in the industry. You guys are oftentimes too. Even the folks working the thing were like, enough of this already. Let's get back to golf. And it feels like we're almost back to golf.
Yeah, fingers crossed we're headed in the right direction, at least when looking at the numbers. Greg, let's put a bow on this. I don't think we've talked about this on the pod yet, but there is also there's a secondary, very exciting event that's going on next week, and it's going on a Tuesday. I don't even know if Mark knows about this, but there is a big time Tuesday event next week that I have heard a super team has been formed for it. Would you like to enlighten everyone about what's going on next week?
Well, most events on the PGA Tour have what's called a media day.
That's right.
Well in advance of when the actual tournament is played. And they'll get the defending champion there, or they'll get the defending champion some access to the media, whether it's Zoom or in person. And the local media members get together and they get to play the course. Well, the media day in my home state of Connecticut for the tournament, the Travelers, happens to be next Tuesday.
That's right.
And there's another individual in Connecticut who works for CBS named Joe Musso.
The Moose.
And the Moose played in this event last year and won.
Which I don't leave out the detail that he actually dethroned you.
I played in this event last year as well and did not win. Now, Michael Breed, who I work for, and he is an awesome player. He actually played in the it was then the Greater Hartford Open. He played in it in 1994. It's his only PGA Tour event. So he's a very good player still, and we didn't win, and I think it was because of Joe's handicap. That's what I'm convinced of. He's sandbagging.
He is a professional handicap adjuster.
Yes, yeah, he's a pro net golfer.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, there's a problem here because my handicap's not getting adjusted, even though it should. Michael's handicap's not getting adjusted, and I want to win. So why not join up with Joe Musso? And then why not have Rick Gehman fly in from Las Vegas?
They're flying me in.
Rick, you did not call me to be your representative. I trust there are first class flights for you and Mina. It's staying in the Ritz, right?
Yeah, and the package they put together, Mark, was incredible.
Okay, and you got to be playing off at least a 15 handicap. Yes,
that's going to be tough. But we are going to battle. Greg, myself, the Moose, and Michael Breed are the foursome for the Travelers Media Day. We are going to try to bring home some hardware, and I'm sure we'll make a little content while we're out there. But yeah, it should be an absolute blast. Mark, if we can't win, we are all just hanging them up.
Well, I look forward to the results. I want to lay a little something on the line here, Rick, with you, saying they call that stretch of holes 15, 16, 17, the triangle, right?
Yeah.
I want to set the over and under on you playing the triangle on your own. You have to finish them because I'm sure it's a scramble or something.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a par on 15. I'll give you
Okay.
a par on 16, a bogey on 17. So I'm setting the over and under at plus 1.5.
Okay. So plus 1.5. If I take the under, so I play them better than that.
Yes.
For a bottle of wine.
You got it.
Oh, lock it in.
Now, I'll tell you what the format was last year. It was, I believe it's referred to as a shamble. So everybody on the team hits a tee shot.
Okay.
And then you play from there the best tee shot you choose, and everybody plays their own ball in from there.
Okay. Did you want to adjust your line, Mark?
+1.
Okay. All right. So there's just a push opportunity. That's fine. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it for a bottle of wine. 15, 16, 17, right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm writing it down.
Okay. Now, last year I started on 15, 16, 17, which is.
Oh, I wouldn't like that. I don't want that.
I hope we don't get that either. Moose started on 1. I mean, the conspiracy was just, but I'm over it now. I'm over it now because he's my partner.
Moose knows people now. You know, he's a connected soul.
Yeah.
That's why this team is put together.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, gents, we're going to talk about the Zurich, but let's put a quick bow on last week because a couple of questions came through on the Patreon. So let's hit those real quick as we pod through here. Vinny makes actually, let's start with this one from Josh because I think this question has already been answered. It is in regards to JT sticking with the Reverend Matt Minister or going with Joe Griner. Greg, I believe he has already put this to bed. He said the Rev will be back on the bag when he's fully healthy. Yes, he did say that. One interesting point. This is something I hadn't remembered, and someone on Sirius XM brought this up. When he was with who was he with before Bones?
Candler. Oh, JT.
No, JT.
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson, yes. Famous caddy. He was with Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson had to miss a week. Bones filled in Memphis, and JT won. He went back to Jimmy Johnson, but eventually went to Bones. So I'm curious. I do think that it puts Matt Minister on an unfair and unfortunate hot seat, but I can't imagine it's not going to creep into his mind.
Two things, and this is even if Bones was on the tour. Matt Minister is the best caddy on the tour. Wow. Ted Scott is sensational. Rev is sensational. You watch him with Justin Thomas, he deals with him perfectly. And then Jimmy Johnson had a really famous caddy back in the day. And that caddy's name was me. I actually caddied for Jimmy Johnson. Now I'm dating myself. So that's some completely useless.
How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
That's like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but 7 degrees of Mark Immelman.
Well, you know, Jimmy Johnson caddied for Steve Stricker for the longest time, right? And he actually, it was Stricker's influence on Jimmy, and then Jimmy's influence on JT to learn to hit the softer wedge, the flatted, all those sort of less than full swing wedges that he currently hits, where he's just a symphony. So that's all Jimmy Johnson's influence over there.
So that golf community, man, small world. Small world over there. All right, Vinny's got another question here. Better career, Jordan Spieth or Justin Thomas? This is in regards to who has had a better career, not who will have. So Justin Thomas, 16 PGA Tour wins and 2 major championships. Jordan Spieth, 13 PGA Tour wins, but of course, a 3rd major championship. Greg, you can only choose one. This is the one that you get yourself. You get Spieth's or you get Thomas's career. Which one are you taking?
Justin Thomas has been much more consistent, but I want the majors, and I want the green jacket. Jordan Spieth. Oh, it's close.
Call up JT and ask him what he wants, and he'll say Jordan Spieth. Thank you very much.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think when you look at it that way, Justin would trade with Jordan. Jordan wouldn't trade.
I'll give you a couple of the regular events for a green jacket or an open, that Claret Jug, that's pretty special as well.
Yeah, goes a long way. Goes a long way indeed. This week, gentlemen, grab a partner. We're headed to New Orleans. It is the team event. 160 golfers in 80-man teams. That would be crazy. 2-man teams, 80 of them. That's like Greg's idea to send everybody out one by one. Just 2 teams of 80. Battle Royale. against one another. I still think about that a lot, Greg. I still think it's a great idea.
Just singles. Oh, it's
Just
hysterical.
singles. So we've got 80 teams, 160 golfers. We're going to go between 4-ball and foursomes. And the big story, of course, Greg, Rory McIlroy, not only making his return after winning the career Grand Slam, but as the defending champion with Shane Lowry.
This is the perfect spot to land after the Masters for Rory McIlroy. Now, it was last year as well. See, Rory's left Augusta National very emotional every year for either good or bad. It's been extremely emotional. And, when this is what I find fascinating about the Zurich Classic as a whole. It's a fun event. It's a light event. It's a team event. It is and always will be looked at as a little less than a regular event. If you've won the Zurich, it doesn't quite mean as much as an individual event. But here's the thing. For the individuals playing, it can mean the world. There can be moments where your whole season turns around playing in a team event. I think it happened for Patrick Fishburne last year. It was a real springboard for him when he and Zach Blair finished in a tie for fourth. So when it comes to Rory, he now gets to come back as a defending champion, and everybody will be so happy to see him. And he gets to play with Shane Lowry in a very light and low pressure event. But I think it will also help him get refocused and get his sights set on the remaining the rest of the season, quite frankly, including, of course, a PGA Championship at Quail Hollow.
Yeah, it's rare, Mark. We don't often get to see in real time the guy's first start after a career Grand Slam, right? Like what is going to happen? I don't know if Rory and Shane Lowry have stopped partying since Augusta. I don't know. Maybe they just rolled right to New Orleans on a bender. I can't say. But if they do successfully defend this title, it'll be the first time since this event has gone to the team format. Would be incredibly difficult to do it. So very interested to see. Obviously, all eyes will be on those two.
Yeah, and unless my 54-year-old memory is failing me, I seem to recall Rory saying something to the effect of that this win at New Orleans last year was kind of almost an inflection point for his season, because he'd been misstepping a little while, and I feel like he missed the cut at the Masters maybe, or he didn't play very well there, and been a bit ragged up to then. And then he gets together with Shane at his back. He swings a bit more free. They win. And then he quickly followed that up with a win at Quail Hollow. So it sort of turned the season around a little bit. Then he had, some missteps in the majors again. But I think it's a cool sort of a return to a place where Rory maybe found himself a little bit. And now he's coming back as the Grand Slam champion. And all I see is just a bunch of free swinging. I think these two guys are going to have a ball together. Rory has said as much, where he feels like ding dong, the witch is dead. The monkey is off the back. So yeah, I look forward to all the events I get to go and call, but this one's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing Rory. I've got my special Masters flag with no date on it that I've been saving for the Grand Slam champion. So I'm going to try and get him to sign that. And so yeah, it's going to be cool. And I feel like if anybody can celebrate Rory's return, it's the folks at Zurich, the folks at the tournament, and of course all the restaurants and stuff down in New Orleans. So it's going to be a great week, and I hope the two of them play well. I really do.
Now, Mark, do you wait in the kids' autograph zone for that signature, or are you able to access him in a different way?
It depends. I'm too tall for the kids' autograph zone, so I can't go in. I use some executive privilege once in a while, All
right, very good. No harm, no foul. Greg, I have other topics here, but I want to roll with this one because there was a question from Patreon that you were setting up here from James, and it was talking about, do you feel that recent form for an individual could be less important? And I think you were referring to that. Sometimes this has been used as a spark plug for players or guys that maybe aren't playing well. They don't have to hit all the shots. They don't have all the pressure on them. It's just an opportunity to, as Mark said, freewheel it a little bit.
Yes, I think it can definitely bring something like that to the table. Now, that's hard to predict when we get to our predictions section for this event. It's a really hard thing to predict. So I like to see at least one partner with some form coming in. I think form coming in is always important. But for the guys that are not necessarily in form, it can change your mindset. It can change your attitude really quickly. One of the players I'm going to talk about a little later is Keith Mitchell, and Keith Mitchell has struggled down the stretch in some of these PGA Tour events, some of these individual events. I'm very curious to see if having a partner, having alternating formats, and a partner like JT Poston, if that can kind of flip the switch and he can continue his great play a little deeper into a tournament. So I think it's definitely, look, recent form's always important, but this definitely opens up an opportunity to maybe be a little less perfect, and you could see a launching pad here for sure.
Well, that might be good for someone like Sahith Theegala, Mark, who has not played well in 2025. He is looking for that spark. He is going to roll with Aaron Rai, who won, obviously, at the Wyndham Championship last fall, was a debutant at the Masters. He finished T27. He's generally played much better golf in 2025 than Sahith has. Maybe that's a potential combination where a guy with a lot of upside, I think we all know how talented Sahith is, maybe a week like this is a breakout opportunity. Yeah,
it certainly is. And the cool thing about the event is you play alternate shot foursomes and four balls, which is better ball. And it starts ball. It's Thursday. They open up with best ball, then it's alternate shot, and then best ball and alternate shot. And the way the course sets up is that if you're going to hit the tee shots on the odd holes, you are going to hit more approach shots than the other guy. And so if you're looking for matches that seem to be made in heaven, then you figure Sahith, who's long off the tee, is going to thrive alongside a guy like Rai, who's a very precise sort of an iron player. I would say of the two of them, Sahith is the better putter. So if Aaron's hitting more of the approach shots, Sahith's hitting the birdie putts, where Rai, to me, doesn't really putt as freely. So it looks at the outset to be a combination that could do well together. It's just figuring out the Bermuda grass down there and figuring out the rhythms of playing with someone you might not know very well. But the reality is they're two pretty easygoing guys, and it's the kind of golf course that you can really get busy on, because I know they've had a little rain down there, so it'll likely be receptive. But if you just look at the nuts and bolts of it, you would think that they would play very well, especially an alternate shot if they bring some just halfway decent form in there.
Yeah, staying on script in that alternate shot, Greg, is always important here. And they are, they're two of the top 8 players in this field, something like that, right? It is pretty top heavy, but I think we all understand how good both those golfers are. They are the X factor for me. I'm just really interested in seeing what happens. They might miss the cut. They might win the golf tournament, somewhere in between. I have no idea, but they're the team that I'm going to keep an eye on all week long.
You know, they're not really guys, either of them, that miss cuts very often. They haven't been playing great golf. Rai better than Theegala, but I think it's only, I guess it's 2 missed cuts this year for Aaron Rai and just one for Sahith Theegala, even though the performances have been, nothing inside the top 10. Very little inside the top 20. So it's been less than performances. There's another factor at this venue that I think benefits Theegala, and it's not a very driver heavy golf course. They some of the statistics that I saw said they hit driver here as a field average of about 44%, which is pretty low. The PGA Tour average is about 69%. So it's a significant drop off, and that could play a serious factor for someone like Sahith Theegala. Can he just go get it and play and make golf a little simple? Because it seems to be a little complicated for him right now. To that end, watching Aaron Rai may be a great way to simplify things, because maybe Scotty Scheffler plays a more simple game than Aaron Rai, but there aren't many simpler than Aaron Rai.
One more point about that too, and Greg sort of touched on it, where if you're playing 4 balls, you've got a guy on your wing. And so you can swing freely, and you kind of know, look, you don't want to let your partner down, but oftentimes you'll find if a combination just ham and eggs the thing decently, they put together a decent day. So you don't have to be as on point as you do when you're on your own ball. So in many ways, it is a great place, like a McIlroy said, to find a little something. And maybe sometimes that little something is just some confidence in what you're doing. So look, I think the nuts and bolts of that combination does look like they could be pretty good.
Comfortability, familiarity, things that are going to be important, and probably no more comfortable than the three brothers in the field. We've got Matt and Alex Fitzpatrick. They have teamed up together. We've got Nikolai and Rasmus Højgaard making their debut together. And we've got Jeremy and Yannick Paul, both fresh off of their best finishes of the year. Jeremy on the PGA Tour, Punta Cana. Yannick in China last week, both top 3 finishes. Greg, these are the fun ones. Let the Højgaards get after it. Alex Fitzpatrick might get himself a PGA Tour card. Same with Yannick Paul.
It's some really cool stuff. The Højgaards are fascinating to me because you just watch them play and you know how good they are. But they're just so good. But they just have not been playing very well.
Yeah.
By PGA Tour standards, right? It's been 4 missed cuts in a row for Nikolai Højgaard. It was 2 missed cuts in a row for Rasmus, and then he finished tied 32nd in his last 2 starts, including the Masters. But we have not seen their ball striking prowess show up. They haven't been putting well. They haven't been really doing anything particularly well, certainly not up to their ability. And so I'm curious if they come together, can that duo kind of gel? Can they step up for each other? That could go a long way. I think the same is true for Alex and Matt Fitzpatrick. Alex Fitzpatrick has definitely taken a step in his career. He's first time he played here. I'm not sure if he was, a full on tour player, but he is now just on the DP World Tour. So he's going to come in a lot more comfortable, and maybe they can get something together. So yeah, these are very cool. They'll be very fun to watch.
Alex has been the better Fitzpatrick for the last 6 months or so. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, one quick thing. The Højgaards did play this event last year. I know because I got a video of the 2 of them hitting balls at the same time.
I was just looking at that. They did. That's my bad.
They both had short hair, and I couldn't pick them apart except for their golf swings. And I want to say this because I'm pretty high on them this week. Those numbers you've been seeing, Greg, I would say like Rasmus, for argument's sakes, who was playing alongside Rory at Pebble in round 3, who hung with Rory for a while, then didn't finish so well. And then at the Masters was way up the leaderboard and had a couple bad holes and finished down the field. It's closer than it looks. He is closer than the statistics look. So I feel like around a receptive golf course, comfortable with his brother, I'm high on the Højgaards this week.
I will say one more thing on Rasmus specifically, Mark. I like what you mentioned there because he was playing really well. And in Phoenix, he finished. So you saw him at Pebble. Right, he finished tied 22nd,
and Phoenix, and at the Masters.
Right, so Phoenix now the week after Pebble, he finished tied 12th, but he really slid down the leaderboard, and he had a really bad finish to that tournament, and I think it spooked him because he came out at the Genesis and missed the cut. He didn't play very well in Mexico. Then he missed the next 2 cuts, and now you saw him at the Masters in his most recent start. So maybe he kind of got that out of his system. I really think the finish at Phoenix shook him up in a strange way. So
I can see that. I will say this though, that a player of that ilk, because he's won in Europe, you're not going to fool him twice. You might fool him once. So you get into contention on the tour, which is it's different over here. I love the DP World Tour, but it's a different deal. And so you get there and it just feels different, and you kind of misstep a few times, which is likely, golf. Maybe he did lose a little mojo, but gosh, the guy is gifted. I mean, golly, when he hits it, I stop walking and I watch him hit.
Has there ever been a set of brothers on the same Ryder Cup team? It has to be no, right?
Oh, don't know.
I'm just going to assume there hasn't.
That's a good one.
Nikolai was on the team in 2023. He is far down the rankings right now. Rasmus is 4th. Remember, Rasmus was brought on as like a special assistant. So he was there all week long. He was involved, didn't get to play. Might get a chance to play at Bethpage this year. He's been great.
Maybe Nikolai could get his act together after this week and go win a big tournament and put his name in the hat again.
Yeah, go on a little bit of a run.
There are things called captain's selections as well, and that Luke Donald's a pretty savvy dude. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Imagine those two playing together in a Ryder Cup and paired together. That would be so.
Well,
I would love that.
Well, look, Luke Donald's in the field this week. He's no
He is.
fool. He's playing alongside Camilla.
Yeah.
And he's going to be paying attention. And if those two play well, I guarantee you Luke is playing a practice round with those two dudes this week. Promise you, it's happening.
I love it. I love that. All right. Well, listen, let's talk about some more names in this field. We've got the grid available, and it looks something like this for this week. Oh, a little dark.
Oh, yeah.
Little dark mode. The bad boys of golf with the spray paint are back. Oh, boy. All right. If you have never seen this before, we've got matchups, we've got finishing positions, and we've got two separate winners. There's lots of text on there because these are partners, and there are lots of names. Mark, you did free us up a little bit of real estate because your golfers in your matchup have the same last name. What's your matchup, please?
Well, this is following on from, I called him finishing inside the top 30 last week, and I believe he did, Matt Fitzpatrick, right? I never did look at the final results there because it was a really good
fit. He was I think he struggled a bit on I know. I'll find out for you.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I'm all about brothers. And by the way, I see here in the chat, Rayleigh M.
Yeah, good job.
There we go.
Great
nice
call.
job,
How about that?
Yeah. Best fans.
Asking you shall receive. Rayleigh M says Eduardo and Francesco Molinari were the first brothers to play together in the modern era at the 2010 Ryder Cup for Europe. Rayleigh, hat tip to you. Well done.
Cheers,
Thank
brother.
you much.
Yeah, so I'm going. I'm big on brothers this week. I think it's a good deal. So I'm going with a Fitzpatrick's over Max McGreevy and Sam Stevens, which is risky because I think I've crowed about Sam Stevens a little bit after watching him at Torrey Pines earlier this year. Max McGreevy, I watched him a little bit play in Houston. He's got some gifts, but he tends to get a little animated, let's call it. So he's the kind of guy where if you're playing alternate shot and you're letting your buddy down, that's a hard thing to stomach. But you got some Oklahoma boys versus the Englishman. I'm going with the Englishman in the matchup.
Matt Fitzpatrick was birdie free, 74, 3 over par on Sunday to finish T38.
Damn it. Okay, cool.
Just outside. Greg, give me your matchup, please.
I got Alejandro Tosti, who is toasty right now. Okay, he's finished top 12 the last 3 weeks. 2 of them were top 5s. So he is on fire. He is playing with Joe Highsmith, which is just a fascinating pairing. I don't know.
Those are the two most opposite golfers on the tour, aren't they?
Yeah, they could be. They very well could be. I like what Toasty's been doing lately, and I think he has a lot of gifts and a lot of ball speed and a lot of fire. So I like what he has, and when he's playing well, he knows how to get himself into contention. Joe Highsmith has not been playing very well since winning the Cognizant. He had a couple nice finishes, but he's missed 2 of his last 3 cuts. He finished 72nd at the RBC Heritage, a no-cut event. But I generally just believe in his game. And I think an event like this could turn things around for him. You get a lot of wedges. There's a lot of long approach shots too, but those are areas where he's generally pretty strong. So I'm looking forward to seeing him and Toasty go at it against Bramlett and Smalley. Now, Joseph Bramlett has not been playing very well for a long time. And Alex Smalley seems to be in a little bit of a slump too, after a great performance at the Players. So it's Alex Smalley. Well, Joseph Bramlett too can play, and Alex Smalley can play, no doubt. But I like the form. I like the recent form of Toasty enough to take these guys minus 110.
Rick, the only thing that Toasty and Highsmith have in common is the ball flight, the trajectory, which is about head high with the driver. It doesn't get much higher. Otherwise, they're polar opposites, those two.
I know, like, I love when Mark's setting something up, right? He leads you into the punchline. I love it. It's so good. Well, I have opted for Aaron Ryan Sahith over Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin. We talked about the Rai Theegala team. I'll take the talent over. Nothing against Novak and Griffin. Novak coming off probably what was a very emotional week for him. Ben Griffin has played good, hasn't played great. So I'm just going to pick on them a little bit here. Finishing positions. Greg, I'm going to you here. This just says Fox and Higo. I don't know if we got I'm assuming that's top 30-ish.
No, that's the tee off.
Oh, no. I bet it cashes.
I'm teasing. That is top 20.
Okay.
That is top 20. I apologize for not putting that in there. This team's really interesting to me. Garrick Higo won last week, the Corrales Punta Cana Championship. He's had a tendency of winning back-to-back events. He did that on the DP World Tour. But I like what he's done with Ryan Fox. They played together last year, finished tied fourth. And Garrick Higo has another fourth place finish in this event with a different partner. And I saw who it was earlier. I can't think of who it was. But he played really well with Fox last year. So I like what Garrick Higo has done. He played well the week before his win as well. He hasn't gotten a lot of starts on tour this year. And I'm thinking that maybe he's figured something out. And Ryan Fox is very gifted as well. And he's not a complete player to the point where he's contending week in and week out on the PGA Tour, but he can definitely add some value to the team. So I think these guys get inside the top 20.
Mark, we had a South African in the winner's circle last week.
Yeah, man, he's grown his hair since I last saw him, Garrick. But playing well. I think he's done yeoman's work with Sean Foley. They completely retooled everything he did. But he's always been a talented kid. I remember being on hand for when he won his first PGA Tour event at Congaree. Yeah. And he is long. He's got a lovely short game. He's a great scrambler. Yeah, I kind of like that combination there with Ryan Fox and with Garrick. It's not often that you get a South African and a New Zealander pairing off. That's like oil and water. But anyhow, this week position-wise, I'm going for the Højgaards. Top 20 plus 115. I'm all in. I have a feeling they contend. I really, really do. I don't have data to point to. I just have, as Patrick calls it, the eye test. And when I watch them on the range, they're doing everything they need to. And all the rounds for both of them have been like 16 good holes and then one bad hole and something stupid. Where now they're playing alongside each other, there's a comfortability. You've got someone you can lean on some. I wonder if there's a line to say that Nikolai is going to hit the first tee shot and alternate shot, so he gets the irons and Rasmus can drive it. I just think it's a really good grouping around a golf course that I'm surprised that Greg's nugget about the driver, because I was counting through holes. I mean, I see guys hitting a driver all day long. Now, maybe that's guys on the weekend who are playing well, and so they're not defensive off the tees, because a hole like number 8, for argument's sakes, you can sting iron down there, or if you're a little rambunctious, you can hit a driver. Same sort of thing down the first hole, for argument's sake. So there's holes that give you options, 10 as well. And so you can get busy a little bit with drivers. So those two boys, the Højgaards, let's go. Top 20 plus 115.
Yeah, top 20 for the Højgaards, top 20 for Fox and Higo, and I couldn't resist either. I took the Pauls. Top 10, I figure if they're going to play well, they might as well just go on and finish on the first page. Plus 475. They both coming off their best finish of the year. Both of them right now. And now they get to go play with each other. It's going to be great. And also, you can't tell them apart. So, if one of them's playing better, that one can just hit all the shots. A pair of winners here. I cheated a little bit. I took Carlos Ortiz on live. They're playing this week. It's Mexico City. They're playing at Club de Golf Chapultepec. We've seen that place. It used to host the WGC events. Carlos Ortiz 22-1 in a home game. And then I went with JT Poston and Keith Mitchell at 19-1 because Poston's been putting a lot better, finally back on track there. Keith Mitchell has been Tiger Woods for one round every single week. He has not been very good the other three, but hoping that a little bit of JT Poston love can go a long way there. Now, you boys have one winner overlapping. So don't give me that one, Greg. Give me your unique winner, please.
That would be Sepp Straka and Bryce Garnett. They're at 30-1. Now, Sepp Straka brings the heat here, right? He's the attention grabber. But I will tell you that Bryce Garnett is a great partner for either of these formats. He doesn't really pop off in the strokes gain categories when you look at his stats, but he's very accurate off the tee. In fact, he's 7th on the PGA Tour in driving accuracy and 8th on the PGA Tour in greens and regulation. And he's gained strokes putting in 3 out of his last 4. This is the guy you want on your team, right? He's always available. He's always in play, always there to help out. Now, Sepp Straka, on the contrary, not really the contrary, but what Sepp Straka brings to the table is he leads the PGA Tour in birdie average. So the guy just can put circle after circle after circle on the card. And I really like that as a combination. He also happens to be extremely accurate and it has been elite with his iron play. He's first on the PGA Tour in strokes gained approach. First on the PGA Tour. He gained 8.8 strokes last week. I love what he's doing. So he's definitely on my list.
That is 30-1. Now, Greg, I have to pull back the curtain a little bit. You changed your pick just mere minutes before this podcast started. And we all know how that works. That means that the team that you switched off of is going to win this golf tournament. So tell us who you switched off of.
Taylor Moore and Wyndham Clark.
Yeah. What happened? You got cold feet?
No. I was looking at Straka and Garnett. And as I looked into Bryce Garnett a little more, I was like, this is a perfect partner. And I love what Sepp Straka's been doing. So I just felt so much more strongly about that. Where with Wyndham Clark and Taylor Moore, it was kind of I have a hard time with outrights. This just felt like a talent. Just felt like these guys are really good, and it was going to be a terrible answer, a terrible explanation. So I went with one that I think is a pretty good explanation.
Hey, Greg, what did Sepp shoot last week?
We finished tied 13th.
Okay.
Okay.
But he should have been.
It sound like he's God right now. Huh?
He finished tied 13th. I think he got off to a really poor start.
Okay.
I could look it up. You don't seem impressed.
He's gaining 8 strokes on approach and finishing 13th. I didn't know that was possible.
Well, he didn't putt very well.
Apparently.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, you and I have talked about this a lot. You got to make putts to win.
Yeah.
I like that Greg goes.
I wasn't going to say that, but I was just sort of intimating a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I like that Greg goes, you didn't seem that impressed.
No, well, I mean, if you're betting an outright, this is going to be a birdie bonanza. You're going to have to make some putts, big guy. I don't care how close.
But this is the thing. He's going to have the birdie putts. So there's a chance, where the bet is that he makes them this week. Right. He missed them last week.
I have a horrible feeling you're going to rue your last second benching of Wyndham and company.
You think they're going to get it done?
Wyndham's starting to play really well. I was talking with him last week. He was on the corner of the range, really grinding, and he was in the mix, playing under pressure. John Ellis, they love where the game's going right now. He's got a lot more control of the driver, and as the driver goes with Wyndham, I feel like is his game, and that's how it goes because his short game's always that good. So I feel like Wyndham if he's a stock, he's trending to me.
Well, at least we brought him up, so it's almost like I have 3 outrights on the card. Which is great.
No, you will be chastised if they win.
I almost picked them.
Yeah. Mark, your unique team is, I'll just say it, it's the Novak Griffin team. I'm interested to hear you think this train just keeps rolling.
I do. Look. I sound like I'm going to use Kyle Porter vernacular. Ben Griffin is low-key good. The guy is really, really sound. And he's had a few chances to win. And he's got all of the tools. And he's playing with a lot of confidence. He's long, really, really long off the tee. And he's one of those guys where I think if he wins, he's going to win a little, not often, but he'll win a few times. But he just needs that breakthrough. And playing alongside Andrew Novak, who I got to tell you, man, I had the coolest interaction with a guy prior to our broadcast Saturday last week. I was on the Novak group. And so we're catching up there. And I look at him. I'm like, hey, man, how are you? And he goes, man, we're in Hilton Head, just 2 hours from where I grew up. I'm loving life. All of the Watford Terrier fans out here. He goes, I got more fans here than anywhere in the world. And he's just so chilled out. And so I'm like, okay, so what's the key? And he goes, Big Eye, the first time I played this golf course was Tuesday morning last week. Okay. Then he goes, me and my caddy, we were taking notes on the course on Thursday and Friday in tournament rounds. And the next thing he's contending now, right? And that's just who he is. And I was like, he was so refreshingly normal. And he's got this buggy whip action, hits the ball really accurately, makes putts when it means something. But I was just like, wow, here's a guy in a signature event about to on the cusp of making a real splash. And he's like, played the course for the first time Tuesday. So he seems like he's got this laissez-faire thing about him there, and I had to get the French in, seeing as we're going to the French Quarter. So it's let the good times roll. Let's laissez le bon temps relais, you know?
Wow. Yeah. My goodness. Okay, we're gonna have to clip that. The shared selection for you boys is Billy Horschel and Tom Hoge. There is a lot to unwrap here. Billy Horschel loves these types of events. Greg, Tom Hoge has been heating up. So give me a snippet on these guys.
Yeah, I love Tom Hoge. I'm going to give Mark another stat that he's going to love. At the Players, Tom Hoge gained 9.8 strokes approaching the green. He only finished tied third.
I was going to say, what did he shoot? What did he shoot?
You guys, I want to go to a PGA Tour event where at the end of the week they go, all right, and the winner is Greg DuCharme, who led the field strokes gained approach.
I have always thought that they should give out awards for the leader in the strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach, strokes gained around the green, strokes gained putting. You should get like you get Crystal at Augusta National for making an eagle. You should get Crystal at a PGA Tour event for leading the stat category.
Have I ever told you one of my ideas if I was the commissioner of the PGA Tour would be a round of the day bonus? So if you shoot the round of the day, it's like you get like 10 grand.
And it's like skins.
And watch those guys just like, hey, I'm out of it. Watch this. Just get after it.
It's fun. It's really fun.
That's what I would do.
So I think Hoge has the round of the day stuff kind of, we know how he's an elite iron player, but he's also been putting really well. He's gained on the field, at least 2 strokes to the field in 5 straight events. He's got a little work to do off the tee, and his short game has struggled a little bit. I don't think that's going to be a huge factor here. Now, Billy Horschel can grind with the best of them. He loves this format, loves this event, always brings his best stuff. And I think that Billy's hitting the ball really nicely as well. He finished tied 4th at the Valspar, tied 27th at the Heritage last week. Things aren't off the charts good like they are for Hoge or Sepp Straka. But I think they're strong enough to really make for a really strong duo here in Horschel and Hoge.
Anything you'd like to add to that, Mark?
Yeah. Tom Hoge's been a little pouty of late. I feel like it's because he's hitting the ball well and not making putts. But he's playing alongside Horschel, who's won year twice. And the guy could motivate a polar bear to move to the tropics. He can get anyone going well. I mean, he rode Scott Piercy to a victory down here in the team's format. He won this event individually back in the day when I was still with radio. So Horschel's the ultimate motivator, and he loves to compete and he loves to battle. And when he's got someone on his side, he loves to just pump people up. You saw him in TGL. So he's exactly what Tom Hoge needs right now. Because if Hoge gets a little lippy, Billy will get up in his face and go, "No, bro, we got a tournament to win." So that's why I like these two.
Get in there and say, "Stop pouting, Tom. Yeah. We've got work to do." That is Poston and Mitchell, Straka and Garnett, Novak and Griffin. 2 votes for Horschel and Hoge, and a wild Carlos Ortiz for Live Mexico City. That concludes our grid for the day. And Mark, yes, hello.
No votes for Lowry and McIlroy. What's going on?
I know. No Lowry, no McIlroy. We have not even mentioned Colin Morikawa's name. He is in this field. We are just setting ourselves up for utter disaster.
When was I with Morikawa? Saturday last week? Gosh, it was ragged.
Oh, that was the 77 day or 78.
He was wiping iron shots. Then he makes an 8 on 13. It was like his evil twin took over the helm for about an hour and a half there during the round.
Yeah, not pretty. Not
Did
pretty.
not see that coming.
Well, Mark, we're gonna say goodbye to you here.
In there, Greg.
Before we do, first off, safe travels. Anything else that you would like to talk about before we get you out of here?
Yeah, I look forward to catching up with you guys Friday night, which is once again proof I'm not going to be at Bourbon Street. I'm going to be hanging with you guys on the second cut, and I look forward to that.
I love it. We
Can't
cannot wait. Safe travels. We will see you soon. Goodbye.
Love you guys.
Love you. Get him out of here. We got work to do. We've got work to do.
Now to the real stuff.
Now to the real stuff. If you made it this far, all right, you got to the real stuff. We are going to take you through some of Greg's golfers of the week. We've got some names to discuss across the salary ranges here, but I do have a question from the Patreon, Greg, that I'll hit you with because I'm just going to guess. It might be your team of the week. This question, first off, this question comes all the way from Ireland. It's Owen. Owen from Ireland. Did you know, by the way, I found out when I was in Rome for the Ryder Cup, I think that we do well internationally.
We as in you and I and
Well,
Mark and our team.
yes.
Our team.
Yeah. I think our team does well internationally.
Okay. That's great.
I talked to people from Italy and they were like, oh, we love the show.
Really?
Listen to you guys all. Yeah. Oh, France and Switzerland. So Owen
it must be our accents.
Obviously. Owen is from Ireland. He says, great to have you back. Thank you, Owen. He wants to know how you feel about Riley and Hardy. They're 90-1 this week. They have won this event in the past. Is there any chance that they are your team of the week?
They're not my team of the week. They're not my team of the week, but they're a really interesting duo. Nick Hardy was hitting the ball really well for a while. I kind of thought we were going to see him turn a corner. It didn't really take shape. Davis Riley, on the other hand, has been playing a whole lot better.
A lot better.
A lot better. He's a very real player to consider. So I do like that team. They're not my team of the week, unfortunately, but hey, there's a great chance they make me regret it.
Okay, well, that question is through the Patreon. Thank you. We've listed as many of the names. I try to update this like once a week that have joined. Much appreciated. We are rocking and rolling. We're less than 5 episodes in, and we're making great progress. So it is good to be back. So thank you, Owen and Greg. Now we are going to get into some graphics like you have never seen before. We are going to display some really fun names, and we're going to talk about more of them. But please, unveil the team that you cannot live without this week.
Well, we've talked about them already. And the team that I cannot live without this week is Billy Horschel and Tom Hoge. Mark said Tom Hoge's been a little pouty lately. But if you look at, I mean, it could be a good sign because I think it means that he's feeling really close. So you look at his recent form, like we said, he finished tied 3rd at the Players. He was also tied 5th at the Valero Texas Open, tied 14th at the Masters, and tied 18th at the RBC Heritage last week. He's been putting together some really strong performances. And I think he has been putting pretty well. And this is a birdie-making combo, one of the best iron players on the PGA Tour who's putting well. You can load up on birdies. And he's partnering up with the king of the Zurich Classic.
Yep.
You know, right. This is he won as an individual. He won he's won as a team. He is regularly in contention. He gets fired up for this event. I love these guys this week.
I have said this routinely about Billy Horschel, and I'll say it again. He cares almost too much about stuff like this, and he will recruit all year long, and he will drag Sam Burns around this place, and he will do whatever he needs to do to motivate. That is, I love Billy. That would wear me down over the course of a year, but you only have to do it for a couple days here, and it's very effective. So Billy is like the ideal Zurich teammate.
Yes. Well, you're going to get an elevated version of Billy Horschel. And I believe that Billy Horschel's been playing some pretty good golf lately. I think he's feeling good about his game. And now this event has a tendency of elevating his game. I think that goes a long way in their finishing position this week.
We are going to use the salaries on DraftKings for this week. If you are playing on DraftKings this week, there is a different format. So you are selecting, technically you're picking one golfer. So you either choose Rory or Shane Lowry. You cannot roster them both, but it doesn't matter because both of them are getting the same number of points. They are being treated as a team, and they are always the same price. So each pair of teammates are always the same price, even if it's Rory McIlroy and Sam Saunders. Those will clearly be two different golfers, but if they're on the same team, they're the same price. So we're going to use the salaries on DraftKings to go through some of these. And the $10,000 tier, Greg, is one with, I believe, 4 or 5 teams in it. That is where Rory and Lowry reside, but it is also where your team here resides. Who is it?
Yes, Keith Mitchell and JT Poston, who you like as well, Rick. And I think they're for a lot of the same reasons. I look at Keith Mitchell. These graphics are fantastic, by the way.
Yeah. So I'll just let the cat out of the bag. If you're not watching on YouTube, the graphics are all teams, pairs, great pairs, and it's gonna get good. It's already good, but it's gonna get good.
This is good. This is a great start. So Mitchell and Poston. Keith Mitchell has been striping it. He's been absolutely striping it all year long. And in his last 3 events that have been measured, he's gained strokes approaching the green, off the tee, all that, and finished tied second at Corrales last week. He has 2 top 10s here. Like I said, tied second last week. He's 19th on tour in birdie average. He's gained strokes ball striking in 9 straight events. And I believe the key is JT Poston, who, like you said earlier, has got the putter back.
Yeah,
his ball striking's been okay, but his putting has been sensational. And he's been very consistent with his finishes all year, kind of steady, not really in the mix, but not missing cuts. I think this combination and the alternate formats could be just what Keith Mitchell needs to kind of make a deeper run into this tournament.
Yeah, Keith Mitchell's been routinely involved. It just hasn't closed. Now, the other thing is, I think the post and putting stuff is interesting because it's noteworthy that he was really bad to start off 2025. He lost the putter for like 8 events, and that's his weapon. And it seems to be back, which is a really good sign. What's the deal with the Kurt Kitayama, Colin Morikawa team? Like,
it's fascinating.
Morikawa's never had a good finish here. He did not play well last week. Kitayama is probably one of the down years of the last handful for him. Like, they're super expensive, but I don't know, man. They're a tough team to figure out.
They're expensive because Colin Morikawa is on the team.
Yeah.
And he's probably the second best player in this tournament. He's definitely the second best player in this tournament.
Definitely the second best player.
Right. So, I mean, like when I get down to the lower ranges, I'm looking for the best individual player. And I think one player can really carry a team. So, I mean, up here, I'd like to see a little more balance. But Kurt Kitayama hasn't shown me much of anything this year. It's been disappointing to me. And with Morikawa's record, I have to stay away.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we are going to continue here, and we are going to go down to the 9K range. And you've got 2 teams for us here. One, we have talked. So this is actually fascinating for me because I have one of these teams that I'm playing against in a matchup. I'm playing against the Novak Griffin group. And then we've already talked extensively about the Horschel Hoagie group. So let's dissect the Novak Griffin group.
So Novak and Griffin, Andrew Novak obviously is quite hot right now, right? Yes. He's finished tied 3rd and 2nd in his last 2 events. So it's been impressive. In both of them, he's gained strokes across the board, every category, which I really like. Now, you could make the argument that last week was a summit for him, but going on what Mark said, he kind of has a easygoing attitude about it. I believe that he can come back for a 3rd week in a row. I mean, we saw him early last year, finish 3 straight top 10s in a row in some big events early on in the season. I think he has that kind of stuff in him. On the par 5 birdie or better, which seems to be a pretty important stat here, he's 15th on the PGA Tour, which I really like. When it comes to Ben Griffin, while his results have just been okay, he's been on the positive side with his approach play in 7 of his last 9. And I think he's got the well-rounded kind of profile that could pair really well with Andrew Novak. So I personally like it. And I think the team aspect takes down some of the emotional defeat of last week for Andrew Novak.
I think we have talked pretty extensively about every team in this 9K range: Griffin, Novak, Clark, and Moore, Hoagie and Horschel, Rai and Theegala, the Højgaard brothers. The only team in the 9K range that we haven't talked about is Nico Echeverria and Max Grazerman, who I am a huge fan, Greg, of both of these guys. I do not like to see that Grazerman has been really bad off the tee again. Similar to like when JT Poston loses his putter, when Max Grazerman loses the driver, like I get worried about that. But I love these guys. I just worry we got about a bad time.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing the. I'd like to, if Nico was striping it, for instance, and Grazerman was putting really well, because the short game and putting have been phenomenal. Yeah. He's just hitting it all over the map. So I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm seeing, average stuff out of Nico Echeverria too. So I'm a fan of these guys, but I don't think either of them bring enough to warrant a 9K price tag.
Here's the 8K range, and your two selections we have talked a good bit about. It's Bryce Garnett, Sepp Straka, Garrick Higgo, and Ryan Fox. But I want to toss you up on another group in this 8K range. Clearly, they didn't make the top 2, but Adam Hadwin and Nick Taylor are here. And we know what the Desert Fox can do, even maybe when we get down to the Bayou. But Nick Taylor has had a lot better. It's cooled a bit, but a lot better 2025 than I think people realize. How dangerous are the Canadians?
Well, they're really good players. They're really good golfers. They just have not been really good lately. So, if you're going this way, you're kind of thinking they're going to have the flag over their shoulders and rah and play up as a result of that. I don't really like going that way. I mean, Nick Taylor was phenomenal early in the season with his ball striking, and it's seemingly fallen off a cliff. Right, he missed the cut at the Players and in Houston, tied 40th at the Masters, and tied 49th last week. Bleeding strokes with his ball striking, not putting particularly well either. It just seems like it's been a struggle for him. Like there's something going on in the golf swing. Adam Hadwin, it's been much of the same. There has not been any notable finishes of strength. He has not performed very well in any category of his game. Maybe this is the kind of week that brings them out of it, but I certainly like Bryce Garnett and Sepp Straka a whole lot more.
Yeah, pitch me on the Garnett stuff here. I get the Straka stuff, whatever. Garnett, he's been all right.
Yeah, I know. And this is the thing. Look, if you look at what we always look at, right? We look at the strokes gain metrics, and they're average at best. I mean, you would never in the $8,000 range play Bryce Garnett with this kind of profile.
Right.
But what I like about it is the putting seems to be okay. It's good enough. And I really like how many fairways he's hitting. 70% of his fairways. Right. And he's 8th on the PGA Tour in greens and regulation.
Yeah. So you're taking fairways and greens, give us keep us in play, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, you for an alternate shot partner, he's not going to hit you into the woods. Sepp's not going to hit you into the woods either. So we're going to have a lot of putts at birdie, and that's going to be somewhat stress-free. And then in better ball, you got a par maker, which is a great thing to have. Sepp, go fire at the flags. Keep making birdies like you've been doing all year. I think that's really advantageous. And what also really helped push me over the edge on these two guys was they finished tied 11th together last year.
Yeah.
So they played together last year and said, let's do it again. Because it's kind of an odd couple, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
How do they know each other? First off,
Bryce Garnett didn't go to Georgia. He's not from Austria. Okay. He's from Missouri. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They're not the same age. It doesn't make any sense. But perhaps early on they got paired together randomly, which I think you can sign up and they'll pair you with someone.
Yes. Yeah. Like you can, if you just enter as a single, you will just get assigned somebody eventually.
Right. Which may have happened. I don't know that for sure. And then it goes really well. Hey, let's do this again next year.
Yeah. Cause Straka hasn't always been like a top 20 player. He might've signed up for this and got assigned Price Garnett and they liked each other. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The team
I really like that pair.
The team that I'm interested in, and this is just for electricity, Michael Thorbjornsen and Carl Phillips are playing together. And these are two young stallions. Phillips won earlier this year. Phillips couldn't keep it on the planet on Saturday, and then he shot the round of the day last week. Thorbjornsen had his best finish as a pro, I believe. He finished runner-up in Punta Cana. They might stink, or they might just fill it. I'm just along for the ride. That's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. But I mean, Carl Phillips has got to figure something out with the short game and the putting. I mean,
and the driver.
yeah. It looks. Now he's won. I'm not questioning talent here, but there's some work to be done. And Michael Thorbjornsen has been, a disappointment this year. In my opinion, I was expecting this to be a great year for him, and it hasn't been in any category. What does the T2 mean last week? It puzzles me so much. Like, are the players on the PGA Tour week in and week out, like all these normal events that he played in, like the Houston Open, the Valero Texas Open, the Cognizant Classic, are they just that good that he looks bad and then goes in this field and looks like a star? It doesn't make sense. So I don't know what to make. I really don't know what to make of it.
It is, I think it's a confidence thing. I don't think they're that much better. I think he shows up in Corrales and goes, okay, I've got a chance, even though he probably should feel that way a lot more frequently. I mean, he finished last fall so he went T8 WD after gaining strokes at Black Desert. I think he injured himself and then finished T8 again. So he had basically back-to-back T8 finishes to finish the fall at the Sanderson and RSM, and then just never got it going in 2025. So
it's a very peculiar thing.
Peculiar indeed. The 7K range gets us access to a lot of unique names here. We are starting to get deep into this 160-man field, but you have pulled out a handful of names for us, please.
I'm a sucker for Rico Hoey. Yeah. I love Rico Hoey's stuff. So he's at 7,900. He's a little bit of a stripe show, right? He flushes it and he hits it a long way. Finished tied 11th in Houston. Finished tied 12th in Corrales. If there's a weakness in his game, it's his putting. Well, let's look at his partner Sam Ryder, who has been putting the eyes out of it all season. Since the Sony Open, he's gained strokes putting in every single event except one, which was the American Express, which doesn't even have strokes gain data on all 4 rounds.
Correct. Yeah.
So I don't think it really works this way, Rick, where you have but what I'm picturing here is you take the charts on rickrungood.com, you take the short game of Sam Ryder, the ball striking to Rico Hoey, and we have a match made in heaven. It doesn't really work that way, but I think that they're both playing some good golf and could mesh well together.
Speaking of matches made in heaven, if you're watching on YouTube, you see Bugs and Lola Bunny matches made in heaven. How about the Nappin Sappin group? Jake Knapp and Frankie Sappin have made the cut for you, Gregors.
Yes. So I like Jake Knapp's game a lot. It's been a little hit or miss, but he's been hitting the ball really well this year. And I think he has the most firepower of just about anybody down in this range. So I really like his talent level as a player. Frankie Sappin has been a huge disappointment this year.
Ugh, tell me about it.
I mean, he's a guy that I think a lot of people, including you, including me, really expected good things out of.
I guaranteed he'd be rookie of the year. Well, Greg, he has got a lot of work to do if that's going to come true.
It's actually still possible because
it's definitely possible,
right? You need a win. Oh, you win an event and you got a chance at that.
One win is usually like, yeah, you're in the finals.
Yeah. So it's good enough, but the game just has not been there. And my hope is that talent shines through. Maybe it's like a Michael Thorbjornsen thing where you go to Corrales and, I should beat these guys kind of thing. And you all of a sudden play well. Maybe he steps up here with Jake Knapp and says, oh, you know what? It's okay. I got Jake Knapp with me. We're good to go. And he performs at his ability. So I'm hoping on that, but this is a play on the talent of Jake Knapp.
I have a nugget for you here about your next team, which is Ryan Gerard and Danny Walker. Okay, this is going to be my newsletter for tomorrow. So my newsletter is scheduled for tomorrow, rickrungood.com/newsletter. One of the sections in here, I found the complete teams, Greg. There are seven teams in this field that when you combine them, like you said, mesh them together, are gaining strokes in all 4 categories. So 7 out of 80 meet that criteria.
Fascinating.
Lowry, McIlroy. It's kind of the teams that you would expect. But one of those teams is Ryan Gerard and Danny Walker. And the 2 things that they do best that buoy this number are approach play and putting. And I'll tell you what, if you want to go low and you want to win an event like this, you better be good in approach play and putting.
That is phenomenal. I'm not sure what to add to that. But when you look at Danny Walker, his results are a little bit sporadic, if you will. They're not very consistent. He misses some cuts. Even area by area in his game, they're a little inconsistent. But he has the ability to perform really well with his irons. 3 out of his last 4 events that have been measured, he's gained strokes with his irons. He's had the ability to put together some really solid putting performances. And so I think that makes for a good team with Ryan Gerard, who, he finished 9th in Houston. He finished 2nd at the Valero Texas Open. He was 27th last week at the RBC Heritage. His iron play has been great all year. There's a lot of good, and his putting's been really good too. There's a lot of good things that Ryan Gerard has going on.
The other nugget that I will leave you with in this range is in regards to Jake Knapp. If you like looking back at QBE Shootout, similar style event, Grant Thornton, which is a similar style event, but it's co-ed. Jake Knapp won the most recent Grant Thornton, which was December with, do you know, Greg? This would be deep if you pull this out.
No, I don't know.
No,
it's too late at night for me to pull that.
Patty Tavatanakit was his partner.
I saw that happen. Didn't remember.
Yeah, they were like long shots, and they won it. So good on you.
Jake Knapp's never a long shot.
Well, that's not really.
It's not true. It's not true.
Really true. The $6,000 range, and I love what you have pulled out of this range. Let's start with your top team here, or the team that is listed on the top. I find this to be a fascinating squad.
Oh my gosh! First of all, the 6K range is it's tough.
There are guys who literally don't have status anywhere.
Yes, it's really tough. So Ben Silverman and Sammy Valimaki. Ben Silverman has missed 6 cuts in a row.
Yep. And Sammy Valimaki's been one of the hottest players on the planet.
One of the hottest players out there. But I look at Ben. I look at Ben Silverman. We used to do this thing, the pale play of the week, Rick. He would not be the pale play of the week, but everything has been like just a little bad in every area. And it leads to bad overall.
The pink play of the week.
Yeah. It's light pink. So it's close. And then with Sammy Valimaki and the heater that he's been on with his irons, I couldn't look past that because he's probably the best player in the 6K range. So
yeah, I actually think his results don't look as good as like he has shot. Speaking of round of the day, he has shot the round of the day a handful of times this year, and it doesn't even show up in the result. He has been just a filler upper.
He was leading the RBC Heritage all morning on Thursday. He ended up finishing tied 18th. He played great. And so the strategy down here is I'm not going to find a good team. Like you're not going to find two players that are in good shape. So let's take the best player and what his partner. I don't care what his partner's doing. I don't care at all.
I think that Sammy Valimaki and myself could beat some of the teams in the 6K range.
It looks that way on paper. All right. Especially with your 15 handicap.
Yeah, baby.
That helps.
The other team, Matt McCarty, and that's Mason. Is that Mason Anderson he's playing with? Who is the Anderson?
Mason Anderson.
Okay.
Mason Anderson. Now these guys are low. They're low priced. I want to say
6,600.
Oh, 66. Yeah. So this is like as low as I would go. But again, it's a similar thing. I'm a big believer in Matt McCarty. He the last 4 or 5 weeks or so, he's been playing a lot better. Like more like what we saw from him in Utah last year when he won.
Oh, that was the best.
It's 4 out of his last 5. He's gained strokes approaching the green, Rick, and it's an even better number on the greens. We've seen a tied 14th at the Masters, which is huge. He was tied 16th at the Valspar, tied 20th at the Players, made a bunch of cuts in a row. I like what I'm seeing out of Matt McCarty. And again, this is the same philosophy. I think Matt McCarty is probably the second best player in this range. And Mason Anderson, we haven't seen a whole lot of him. It hasn't been great when we have seen him. So, but hopefully he can elevate his game and Matt McCarty can do his thing.
There you have it, Greg. Before we get out of here, we have seen now 5 pairs of teammates here. So we had Mario and Luigi. We had George and Jerry from Seinfeld. We had Bert and Ernie. We had Lola and Bugs. And of course we had Batman and Robin. Out of those, which is your favorite? Which is your favorite of the teams?
Well, you know what I love? I love the Batman and Robin in the 6K because that is my strength.
Fit a Batman and a Robin.
Yeah, find the Batman in the 6K range, and then the Robin comes along. So I love that. But I think the best graphic is the Mario and Luigi.
Yeah, that's
overall
next. I mean, the font. The font is like the Super Nintendo font.
It's unbeatable. How do you beat that?
You know what? A late entry. We didn't get it in time. I thought about doing Sonic and Knuckles, which I thought would be which I know is right up your alley.
Yeah, I have been Egghead for Halloween.
Dr. Greghead.
Yes, I've done that for Halloween. My kids love Sonic.
Yeah.
He goes fast.
Of course he does. And actually I liked Tails. I didn't even like Knuckles that much. I like Tails.
Yeah, Tails is sweet. That's what when our family was the Sonic theme for Halloween. My oldest was Sonic. My youngest was Tails.
Yeah,
I was the bad guy. It was great.
Yeah, Tails.
I forget who my wife was.
Great. I'm sure I hope she's not listening.
I don't think she is.
Yeah, no worries there. I think we're good. All right, Greg. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, bud? We've got a big week ahead of us.
It's a big week. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to breaking it down on Friday, and we'll be back Sunday for it. Next week's a big week, but this is going to be a fun one. I'm fired up for it.
Yeah, Mark has promised us he's going to be on Friday's show. Sunday is going to be a little unique because I'm traveling to see Greg. I'm going to see him. So Tuesday will be fun as well. So there's a lot of fun stuff happening. So it should be very, very good. For now, I'm going to say Thank you very much. Producer Mina does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, it's Greg DuCharme. You can find him at The Real GFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.